Hello, everyone. This is Ihana back again, and we're going to be talking about today how an overarching competitive Pokemon season can play out and how you can better prepare yourself to play and do well in major events. So let's get started.
Hi folks, Sable here from Project Artemis. I just wanted to take a moment to say thank you to our sponsor Heavy Play for sponsoring the team and showcase off a few of their wonderful products that they make. Starting off, we have their deck box RFG Max. This is a wonderful little magnetic deck box, flip alcove with a picture display for you to showcase your favorite card. We also have their Dicebox RFG. What's nice about this is it magnetizes to itself, so that is not moving. You don't have to worry about like accidentally knocking over your dice tray or anything. It also magnetizes to Deckbox. Their full system is entirely magnetic, so you can Dicebox to Dicebox, Deckbox to Deckbox, Deckbox to Dicebox here. And even going one step further, they have a foldable magnetized playmat. So instead of rolling things up, this folds up nice and flat. You can throw it in your backpack real easy. And then your dice box also will magnetize to it. Keep your dice box on there. Keep it on your playmat nice and flat there in the corner. And that thing is not moving. Once again, we just want to say thank you to Heavy Play. If you're interested in any of the products seen here, please go to heavyplay.com/Artemis or use code Artemis at checkout for 10% off your order. They have red, blue, black, white, gray, green, purple, a whole bevy of colors in their entire suite for you to use to your heart's content. We really do recommend you checking out their product. Anyway, back to the video.
So, for our overview here, we're going to go into planning a season. We're going to be preparing for an individual major. We're going to talk about at a major, what you can do to keep yourself together, and then after a major. Planning a season. So first off, we want to set some goals. And if you haven't set specific goals before, we're going to follow this this acronym here, SMART. We want our goals to be specific. We want our goals to be measurable. We want our goals to be attainable, relevant, and time-based. So let's make a specific example. So my goal this season is to get a World Championships invite, or get enough points to make ACE trainer rewards, or even more simply, hey, I want to win a cup this year. So once we set that specific goal that we can measure and gauge of when we've met that goal, we want to make sure it's attainable or like realistic. Is my goal like within my scope, and is it possible to get this done? Relevant, it's our favorite hobby. We want to do well, of course. And time-based, we can go based on a season. So once we pick a goal, if you've been listening to Azul at all lately, he's big on improvement. If your goal is to improve, then the numerical results will follow after. And more specifically, we want to talk about how we can reach our goals. What are we going to do to make sure we reach them? This could come down to a specific training regimen, like I'm going to practice for 2 hours every day. I'm going to hop on live 3 hours a day. I'm going to practice this many hours a week. I'm going to go to locals twice every week. If we can put these if we can quantify how we're going to reach our goals, it's going to be a lot more likely that we can actually reach them. So you can see down here I've included the World Championships invitations. It'll differ by region here, but we have in the Masters TCG, there will be 135 Worlds invites for the US and Canada. and so on and so forth for the other regions. So if your goal is to make world championships, you need to have enough championship points to get you in the top 135 players. So let's talk about championship points a little bit. If you're a little newer to the game or haven't heard yet, we have best finish limits. So what this means is once you go to a bunch of tournaments, only your top however many finishes are going to count towards your championship point total. So for challenges and cups, that's your best 4 finishes. So your best 4 finishes are going to count to your point total. Winning a challenge is 15 points, so 4 of them you can get up to 60 championship points. And if you win 4 cups, they're 50 each, so you can get up to 200 points. And then, a little different than in previous years, they take your top 5 combined regionals, special events, and international championships. So if you go to 3 international championships and 3 regionals, only your top 5, however, the top number of points, whatever you're going to get, is going to count towards your championship point total. So last year they introduced the Ace Trainer rewards, and so that what that means is if you get 200 points, they made the cutoff, they're going to send you a promo card and a deck box in the mail. And this is what last season's look like. So hopefully those will be sent out pretty soon. But I think that's a much more reasonable goal for more of the player base to achieve, and it gives you a little something extra to, do your best and work towards something physical rather than just Worlds invites, since only so many people can get the Worlds invites. So here, I'll have an example season. Say we almost maximized our locals and we got 200 points for those. And then we made it to 2 ICs, maybe got top 128 at them, got 120 points each. ICs are going to pay out a lot higher than the regionals based on how you finished. I mean, there's more people, higher competition, but if you can spike one of these higher finishes at an IC, it's going to do you much better than at a regional. And then say we went to our best 3 regional finishes were 2 top 64s and a top 128 to get us that many points. And we ended up with 760 points. So I think this is a pretty reasonable season for most people. Well, not most people. This could be a pretty reasonable season to aim for, and the 760 championship points would most likely land you in the top 135 this year. Last year was top 125, landing around 700 points. So that's an example. Alright, I want to mention budgeting because unfortunately, this isn't free and we can't just run around and play tournaments all year. For every event, you have to consider the entry cost, your food, lodging, and travel, which can include driving, parking, Ubers, your flight. So a lot will go into any tournament besides just the initial entry fee. Some tips to save money on some of this. We can carpool to drivable regionals with our locals. We can all pile into a hotel room. Honestly, if you can split a hotel 4 ways, it'll save you a lot of money over the course of the season, so make friends. You can pack meals and snacks, so you're not eating out every meal while you're at a regional. And if there's a gas station close by, those prices can be higher. So bring your own snacks, I recommend. It's important to keep in mind that we do not want to overextend. Don't go into debt for Pokemon. It's a hobby. It's a luxury hobby even. So try to be realistic when you're planning out your season, how many events you want to go to. Can you afford it? If the answer is no, don't go. There will be another season. It'll be okay. You'll have some FOMO, but it'll be okay. We'll get the next one. Don't go into debt. Pay your bills. Unless you're completely cracked top player, I would say do not rely on the prize payout. It is a nice little bonus if you can spike a cash payout or maybe sell your booster box packs, whatever. I wouldn't rely on it. A good practice would be to just put it into your next tournament. Maybe you finish well at one tournament, and you could put that prize money towards the next tournament you might not have gone to otherwise. If you work out the costs, sometimes international championships, the price per point ratio estimate how high you think you could finish. ICs will typically pay out more championship points than the regionals. So one year I was like, oh, it's relatively cheap to hop over to London for the internationals. It would cost the same as about 2 regionals, but I could maybe get a lot more points there. A number of top players have done cost breakdowns of their season, of what it costs to get them their Worlds invite. So I'll link Rahul Reddy's video down below. He did a very in-depth cost breakdown with his spreadsheets. He included all of the locals and his earnings into the factor. So if you're curious as to how much a Worlds invite might cost you, I would look into that, because that can be a complicated topic, detailed topic. Alrighty, next we're gonna get into what we can do when we're preparing for a major event. The main thing, practice. We want to practice, practice, practice. For most people, I want to say you want to lock in your deck really early, like 2-3 weeks, a month out before your event. Learn the ins and outs of your deck. For 90% of the population, it's going to be best for you to just really know your one deck rather than trying to metagame and guess what other people are playing. It'll do you better, and you'll probably play a lot better if you really know your deck. So there's a couple of different ways we can practice. We can go to our locals, we can play with our testing groups and really sit down and hammer out specific matchups. Or if you don't have access to that, or maybe you work weird hours, Pokemon trading card game online live is not a bad option either. If you can work your way up to the Arceus rank, you'll find high skill level opponents and get some quality testing in. Personally, in the week or two before a tournament, when I've decided my deck, I prefer to take the deck I'm going to play and run it in a tournament setting, whether it's a league challenge or just a unsanctioned tournament. I want to see how the deck does against different brains than whoever's in my testing group, different lists, and just see how the deck holds up in a tournament setting, even if it's small. But get your best of 3 down. Knowing when to scoop is big, especially with the new time rules of 50 minutes plus 1 turn. You really want to make sure your time management is good. Don't change your deck last minute. If your buddy hands you a 60, says it's cracked, say you know your own deck. Most of the time, switching last minute only hurts you. Like I said, metagaming, unless your deck is miserably positioned for the tournament, it's almost always better to just play what you know. Try to lock in your travel plans early with your friends so you're not stressing about it, and, flights don't spike. Nothing unreasonable. Get it out of the way maybe a month or so ahead of time. Nail down your plans so you can focus on testing. And the last thing is register on rk9.gg. Unfortunately, we don't have a centralized system to keep track of when tournament registrations go live. So you'll want to follow RK9 on Twitter so you can keep track of when the tournament you want to go to is going to open its registration, because you don't want to miss it. You don't want the event to fill up. Make sure you get registered. There are, however, a lot of resources we can use to aid in our tournament preparation. The main one we have is limitlesstcg.com. Recently, they have added a labs feature where you can go to any tournament that's happened and you can really do a lot of manipulating with and see what the metagame's looking like. You can see, go up to this metagame button up here and you can see what decks are playing what counts of cards. You can see what decks are beating what other decks. There's really a lot of information to poke around on limitless.com. We can also look at YouTube. There's a lot of content creators out there who are doing deck profiles, tournament metagame predictions, all sorts of good stuff. So you can check out these guys below, including Project Artemis. Check out our deck analyses for your next tournament. And you may or may not have seen these names before, but we'll link their channels down below. I really like their content. It'll be good to check out. If you're a little short on time, but maybe you do a lot of driving, I listen to a lot of podcasts to keep up on metagame when I'm busy. Mainly, I listen to the Tag Team Pokémon podcast and the Uncommon Energy podcast. They both do a really good job at metagame breakdowns to let you know what new cards are coming out and give predictions for upcoming tournaments. So these guys do a good job. I like listening to them. I listen to them while I'm driving. Good stuff. If you're willing to invest a little more, coaching on Metafy is something you can look into. A lot of top players offer personalized coaching sessions to maybe help you. Either they can help you work on a list, they can help you maybe identify some flaws in your gameplay. I do recommend them. Reach out, talk to the players, see what you're looking for. And then lastly, masterclasses are something that have popped up in the last year. Sometimes a player who has a lot of experience with a deck will post what we call a masterclass before an event. They'll really go in detail about their list, possible list changes, and really thorough matchup breakdowns. So those also cost a little money, but I took a couple of Gardevoir ones before NAIC, and personally that worked out well for me. So if you don't have a ton of testing time to really get the raw data for yourself, looking into masterclasses and coaching can be a good way to make up for some of that. Alright. I want to talk about the night before a major. This is my routine. Works for me, so I'll recommend it. I'll always submit my list the night before on RK9. I always do a completely new set of sleeves before a regional. Re-sleeve your deck. I'm going to plug my sponsors, Heavy Play and FCBC. Great sleeves. They'll give you a box of 100, so you can put the extras in your deck box, and if any sleeves get beat up throughout the day, you can just switch them out. Always re-sleeve before a major event. If you want to get some last-minute games, get your brain going, I like doing that sometimes. Just gets me in the mood. Otherwise, you can chill, you can socialize, you just want to relax, get your brain ready for a long day tomorrow. And then, finally, go to bed. Go to bed, get some sleep. It's important. You don't want to be getting through these long days on not much sleep. I always bring earplugs whenever I travel, especially for those shared hotel rooms. You never know when you're going to end up with a snorer. I can't sleep when someone's snoring, so I always bring earplugs to try to drown that out. And I can also recommend an eye mask if you're going to go to bed early, but people still have the lights on. But all of this, get it out of the way so you're ready to go in the morning. Okay, now we're at the major. It's go time. Let's talk about what we can do to best positions ourselves for a good tournament. Obviously, you'd pack before you get to the tournament, but here's everything I personally pack when I go to a regional or an IC. I hate wanting something and not having it, so I try to be a little over-prepared than under-prepared. Like I said, you want extra sleeves, and that's because between every round, we're going to take our deck, we're going to look at it from all sides, make sure there's not any bent corners, nothing sticking out, everything should look the same on all sides. Because deck penalties can get insane. So you just want to take that variable out as best you can and make sure you're inspecting all your sleeves. Bring extras. If you notice something gets bent during a round, you just let your opponent know, keep the card down on the table, swap out the sleeves, we're good. You can call a judge if that would make people feel better. But yeah, bring extra sleeves. Obviously you want your dice. Most people like playing with a playmat to keep their cards cleaner. Heavy Play has a cool little system here. They got the magnetic deck box, playmat, and dice. So you can stick them all together. They're magnets, so your stuff won't go anywhere, and it'll just all be contained right here. So that's pretty cool. Snacks is a big thing. You're going to be using your brain a whole lot. So you're going to make sure we fuel our brain by eating throughout the day. Please eat breakfast. Even if you're not really a breakfast person, get something in your stomach so your brain has something to work with. I try to bring a variety of snacks. I know nerves can get really high at a tournament, so I like sticking with safe foods, something, and then options, so I can always usually put something in my mouth. Nuts, high in protein. You can get protein bars. Those are good, nice, easy to pack. Me and the gang, we're a big fan of Uncrustables. You just throw them in your bag, they'll unfreeze by lunchtime, and that's a great little easy, safe. Got peanut butter protein, got some carbs for your brain, all in a nice, easy package. I like tuna packets sometimes for a little more protein if I don't have time to get lunch. I'll even throw a plastic fork in my bag. Tuna packets are nice. You eat crackers, cookies, jerkies, fruit. Grab some fruit from the hotel lobby. Me and the gang are also a fan of Lunchables. Main thing is, have options. Please eat. Sometimes convention center food is suspicious. Snack. I'll usually try to eat between every 1 or 2 rounds. Make sure my brain has fuel. You can bring earbuds or headphones to use in between rounds. Obviously, you can't use them during a match if they got connectivity, but having the option to have noise canceling or some music playing can get your headspace back in gear. Personally, I'm always cold at these super air-conditioned events, so I bring a layer or two, bring a hoodie, something, because if I'm using brain power to think of how cold my dang hands are, I'm going to play worse, so I'll bring a layer. Make sure you have your medications with you. I'll bring a little pharmacy, like Tylenol, Tums, all that, just in case. You just want to eliminate distractions where you can. Bring a refillable water bottle, because staying hydrated is also a big thing that a lot of people might skip out on. Find the water fountain in the convention center. You're friends with it now, you're going to drink your water bottle, alright? Pens in case they're not on the table. You can also bring sensory aids for some of us with, sensory sensitivities. I'm a huge fan of the loop earplugs. They filter out some sound, but not all the sound. They don't make your voice sound as weird to yourself in your own head. So I'll wear the loops during a match, even if just the whole atmosphere is getting a little too loud for me to focus. And they're not electronic, so if a judge ever gives you difficulty pull them out, show them, hey, they're not electronic, it's a sensory aid. I've never had a problem wearing loops at an event, but there's other brands too. This is just what I use. Whatever other sensory aids you might need, Go ahead, bring them. There's no shame. It's fine. Bring what you need. Bring your device chargers, using up a lot of phone battery, texting people, doing all that. Bring your table plushie for some moral support, and never hurts to have a mask in case you start feeling yucky. Or someone else looks like they're feeling yucky and you don't want all that. Alright, big packing list. Eliminate your distractions, be prepared, bring all your stuff. Alright, for the tournament day itself. Eat breakfast, like I said, give your brain that power it needs to play your best. Again, check your sleeves often, do an inspection, look at all the sleeves, make sure they're good. You can usually expect 7 to 9 50-minute rounds plus 1 turn in day 1, and then there'll be 4 to 6 rounds day 2, cut to an asymmetrical top 8. That means the 8th person seeded after all the Swiss rounds are done. Any people with that same record as the top 8 person, they're going to play an extra couple rounds to determine what the actual top 8 is going to be. It's really big to make sure you take everything 1 round at a time. Don't dwell on your last round. Don't think too far ahead like, oh, I need to win 3 more rounds to make day 2. Really focus on 1 round at a time. It's good to pick a meetup spot with your group so you can all meet up, share snacks, complain about your match, whatever. It's easiest if you can go back to the same spot every time, right? Maybe near the bathrooms or the food. Again, drink water. It's so important. Being dehydrated is not good, and it'll mess up your play, I promise. One more thing I want to talk about here is if you're lucky enough to get on a stream match. Woo! If you show up to your table, you might have a piece of paper saying this match is going to be streamed. That's exciting. It's scary. It's a little scary though. With the hundreds of people maybe watching the stream, maybe people out in the audience watching, it can be a lot of pressure. Just keep in mind that it's pretty much just like any other game. So try your best not to let the pressure get to you. The headphones they give you they play a white noise. It's pretty loud. It's a little bit distracting. The second time I went on stream, it was really loud. I asked them if they could turn it down a little bit. They could. They did. I still couldn't hear everything else going on. But they're also mic'd up, so you can talk to your opponent and the judge, who's right there. It's really not too bad. It's a really cool experience to be able to go back and watch your game with commentary and then see where you might have messed up, where you can improve. Cool experience. Treasure it. But don't freak out. It'll be okay. Alright, let's talk about judge calls. Please, 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 please call a judge. For anything. It's okay. You're not bothering them. It'll be okay. When a judge call comes up, they are going to gather the story from both players, and they're going to take it up to the head judge, talk about it. They'll return with the ruling they've decided on and give you a time extension. Either player may appeal to the head judge if they don't think it's quite right or they just want another opinion, and then after you appeal to the head judge, the decision is final. It seems a little scary. It's not bad. Please call a judge. You never want to walk away from a round being like, oh, I should have called a judge. My opponent was being weird. Oh, I didn't know how this card worked. If you're ever unsure, call a judge. I promise. Please, do it. I don't like seeing things on Twitter after being like, my opponent did this. Bro, you should have called a judge. It's okay. We learn. It'll be okay. So, some examples of when to call a judge. You can call a judge to ask how much time left is in the round. You can clarify how any card or any card interaction works. If you're not quite sure, or if you're pretty sure, just call. It's okay. If cards fall on the floor, you want to call over a judge. It's a pretty lame way to cheat, but someone could like drop their cards on the floor and swap them out with something in their bag real quick. Just have a judge watch. It's fine. If your opponent's not offering a cut after they shuffle, that can be a bad sign. Call a judge over. You can call a judge to maybe shuffle if your deck gets really small at the end of the game and you're not sure you can randomize it fully. Just call a judge over. They can do what's called a judge shuffle, and that way there's no question whether it was shuffled or not. For slow play, it can be a bit of a interesting topic. Review the tournament rules and guidelines handbook to see what exactly is allowed for each action. But what I typically do if I think my opponent's playing a little slowly, if they're hesitating on one decision, I'll be like, what you got for me? Hey, can you make a decision, please? Just ask them, it's fine. Or if they're overall being slow, it's like, hey, can we watch pace of play, please? Doesn't have to be aggressive. Actually, don't be aggressive. If I have to tell them more than once or twice, that's when I'll call a judge over and maybe whisper to them, like, hey, can you stand and watch pace of play? They'll watch a few turns, and then if it looks fine, they'll take actions from there. Call a judge if your opponent's just being rude and nasty. I hope you don't have to deal with it, because it's not fun. But that is not allowed at tournaments, so call a judge over. If you suspect any cheating, your opponent's palming cards from their discard pile into their hand. It happens, unfortunately, sometimes. Just keep an eye on it. And call a judge if you suspect anything. Count your opponent's main cards in their discard pile every now and then to make sure everything's still there and good. If you really have to use the bathroom, if it's an emergency, you can call a judge over and they'll watch your game while you run to the bathroom. Maybe leave your phone there so they know you're not looking something up on your phone. You can call a judge if your opponent's guilting you into scooping. Like, I need this many points, I need to make day 2. Okay, dude, earn it. I don't know. Never feel compelled to scoop to anyone, whether it's at a league challenge or in an internationals. You don't have to do that. Just anything suspicious or weird, call a judge. It'll be good. We love our judges. Make use of them. The last thing I want to talk about in this at a tournament phase is big. It's managing mental state. This is something I've struggled with but worked on over the last couple of years, and I think I have a much better grasp about how to manage myself at tournaments. We want to keep in mind that no matter what happens, we want to win and lose with grace. If you're not a fan of good game, if the game wasn't good, like donk or whatever, I say thank you for the game. It's fine. Thanks for the game is a little less, not that it's offensive, but that's what I say. Be courteous to your opponents. Don't be mean. Don't be passive aggressive. Don't dwell on your matches. Like I said, you can look back on them for what kind of mistakes you could have done better. Look for how to improve, but don't dwell on it. Move on. We got more games to play. Use your breaks between rounds to mentally reset. You can listen to music. You can go isolate if you need. Socialize if you just want to complain, get it out. And then after, be around your friends and laugh. Keep eating snacks. Keep drinking water. Walk around if you need to clear your head a little bit. But really use your time constructively to keep your mental in check. If you feel yourself starting to what we call tilt, which is you're really upset about a mistake or an outcome, the tilt can really easily snowball and lead to more mistakes. So you want to recognize your tilt and deal with it. Do what you need to do to reset your brain. Tough losses happen. Sometimes we miss our winning into day 2. It's okay to be upset, but try not to let it consume you. Cry if you need to get it out, but it'll be okay. There'll be more tournaments. There's always more tournaments. There's good and bad luck. It happens. Nothing we can do much about luck. So just play your best, give yourself the best possible chances, and what happens, happens. This is something I made a couple years ago. Just my little Poke Pep talk. You can look at it. I can recommend making something like this for yourself, whatever your insecurities or worries are. You can just write them down, take a picture so it's on your phone, and then if your brain is struggling or you're being mean to yourself throughout the tournament, you can look at these and just remind yourself, like, I'm happy to be here with my friends. I'm going to play one game at a time. I don't need to prove myself. I'm skilled. I'm not a one-trick pony. Life is not riding on this event. You could have fun after the tournament with your friends. Hey, we all have bad days. Even the top players, they don't always make day 2. It happens. It's okay to have a bad day. There's always more tournaments. It will be okay. It's really hard in the moment. I know. Trust me, I know. But in the end, it'll be okay. If you can stick to your little mantras, do everything I said before to eliminate distractions, it all becomes a little easier. You might have to practice too. It does take practice to manage your own brain, but you'll get there. It'll be okay. I believe. Alright. Let's talk a little bit about post-event. Acknowledge your accomplishment. Hey, you did a great thing. Maybe you got the best record you ever got at a tournament. Maybe you finished the tournament. That's an accomplishment. These are long days. Pat yourself on the back for getting through the tournament. What? Celebrate your friends who might have done well. Just take a moment to acknowledge what you did. You earned it. Learn from your wins, learn from your losses. We can always get better. You can hear even some of the top players saying, man, I won this event. And even though I made a mistake this round, I could have done better. I could have done better. You always hear them saying that. They're never satisfied. We're always looking about how we can get better. After the major event, you want to just reset. Sometimes it's good to, just not think about Pokemon, not touch cards for a couple days. Maybe you didn't get to play your video game you wanted after practicing all month. It's okay. Relax, play your video game. Go for a walk, hang out with your not Pokemon friends. Take a little break. And now that we set our goals, we're going to reflect on what progress we made. It's okay if we didn't meet them. We can try again. But we're going to reflect, and we're going to get ready for our next event. That's all I have to say on all that. Thank you guys for listening. Be sure to check out our sponsors, Heavy Play and FCBC. You need 10% off. But I hope all that was helpful. I hope you can take some of this and go towards your next event with a little more confidence and preparedness. Y'all are going to do great. Thanks for listening. Bye.